You're watching Toronto Sports Rush on the Bet Rivers Network.
Welcome into Toronto Sports Rush for the Bet Rivers Network. I'm Julie Stewart-Binks, joined by former NHL player and current analyst for Hockey Night in Canada on Sportsnet. It is none other than Kevin Bieksa joining us all the way from the other side of the country/continent, but he is very generously donated his time to talk about his favorite team, the Toronto Maple Leafs. Juice. Things aren't going so well in the T.O. What is going on with this Leafs team that has now dropped 3 in a row? And we are doing this on Wednesday morning after they just lost 5-3 against the Bruins.
So this is the second 3-game losing streak they've had in this young season. And as the kids would say, the Leafs are very mid right now. They're very Ohio. And it's not time to panic. I don't think they're 1 point out of the playoff spot, but I think, fans are used to seeing the Leafs comfortably at the top of the division throughout the regular season for the last 5-6 years. And then obviously the struggles have been mostly in the playoffs. But I mean, there's a lot to go on. Like there's a whole lot, there's a lot of change. There's so much to unpack here, Julie. Injuries is not going to help them. Matthews, hopefully that's not serious last night. Stolarz. Lawton hopefully is back soon. Tanev missing some time. But every team has injuries and every team kind of gets through them. So, what's going on with the Leafs? Well, they're scoring goals. They're at the top of the league for goals. They're third, but they're giving up the most. So that's the problem, right? So, I mean, a lot of little things. And you can look at, when your team's not winning as much, you can look at statistics to kind of give you some answers. And I'm not big on that because I think there's so much more than just statistics. But if you are looking at statistics, the top guys are scoring. The top guys have their points, Nylander, Matthews, Nyes. And the way you look at a team and how it's structured, usually your bottom six, you want them to be your responsible defensively type players. And all their bottom six guys are in the minuses. And plus minus, say what you want about it, but when everybody's in the minus, that means that they're on the ice for more goals than they're providing. So couple that with goaltending, and they give up the most shots almost in the NHL. It's just a perfect storm for kind of mid right now.
Well, mid seems to be quite the compliment in Leafs land right now after the loss. But defense, your former defenseman, of course. How would you rank where their decor is right now?
Well, I think everybody looked at their decor as probably the strength of the team going into the season. It was kind of the one area that after the playoffs, everybody kind of said, let's leave this alone. This works good. Benoit as our sixth defenseman, Carlo brought over, McCabe and Tanev had a really nice partnership going. Morgan Riley, who's had a good start offensively to this season. But I mean, obviously they would probably tell you that they're not happy, but there's a lot of good things too. I'm not a doom and gloom kind of guy. And I think, we both come from Anaheim where we were here together for 3 years. And kind of the main difference between Anaheim and Toronto is, the year we went to the conference finals and I really thought we were the best team in the league and should have won the Stanley Cup. We went through little lulls like this. But there wasn't a whole lot of tension. There wasn't a whole lot of people dissecting it at 8 a.m. Pacific time, talking about what's wrong with the team. And we were able to kind of weather these storms. And I think that's the big thing for this Leaf team. Can they weather this storm? Can they not overreact? Can they not panic? I think everybody just expected when Marner left, there'd be a week or two and then boom, everybody would snap out of it. Michelli would come in and he would fill in offensively and Dakota Joshua would come in and he would chip in. And I just think it takes a lot longer than people think. There's so much more, there's moving to new cities, there's new teams, there's finding out what your dynamic is within the locker room and all that takes time. The power play ran through Mitch Marner for 10 years or as long as he was there. That doesn't just change overnight because you plug in another person. There was a lot of touches, a lot of plays that went through Mitch Marner. So, the power play, it's 24th in the league. You score a few more power play goals and all of a sudden you win a few more of those games. So there's a lot going on here with the Leafs, but I don't think it's panic time.
Okay, so not panic time, but we are very close to American Thanksgiving. At what point is it panic time? because there are signs that perhaps maybe even this team and its DNA aren't looking like they are very consistent. They're not connected. There doesn't feel like there's a lot of chemistry there. Does that sort of come in the next 2 weeks, or do we look at it now and say, is this a team that even has what it takes to go down the stretch?
Well, I don't know. I think, what's the expectations for this team? Did they think at the start of the season, hey, we're a dominant team. We're going to be at first place, lead the division all year long in a division with the defending Stanley Cup champions 2 times over, Tampa Bay looking better, like Boston. I don't know. Like, if the goal was to start the season and just be at the top of the division and dominate, then yeah, you're going to be super disappointed. But realistically, this team right now is a mid team. It's, you lose like your best offensive player and, you bring in a couple guys that you think are going to kind of help out, but they took a step back. So it's going to be a team, in my opinion, that's going to kind of scratch and claw and be there and grind it out. And hopefully at the end of the season, be in a playoff spot, not at the top of the division, probably not going to win the division. And then they're going to see if they can do some damage as maybe an underdog type team. But the way they're going to win is just by being a super cohesive, hard to play against team that gets good goaltending and their big dog score, right? Their offense is going to be carried by Matthews, Nylander, Nyes, and then hopefully Tavares. That's the way this team is designed, and everyone else is going to have to be hard to play against and plus players, plus positive players. But nothing seems to be going right now. Power play is not going well, even though everyone's scoring. Defense is wholly, goaltending, right? Like last year, I think the goaltending exceeded everybody's expectations with Stolarz coming in and doing what he did, Woll being a great backup. Woll hasn't been around a lot of this season. Stolarz has kind of like struggled out of the gates. That's a big part. If you don't have solid goaltending, you're never going to win consistently in this league. But it's still, until you get everything back, Julie, and everything's firing, you don't really need to panic unless you fall out of the playoffs by 10 points, which they haven't yet.
Yeah, it just feels like when you talk about them being a difficult team to play against, and if they can kind of claw and scratch their way in the playoffs, like that doesn't seem like that's who they are. I mean, Matthews getting run by Zadorov in the game on Tuesday night, and then like Domi, who's half the size of him, kind of tries to rally something in the third period and obviously gets a penalty and they score on that. But like, they don't seem to have, like, your best player just got taken out essentially by, another player on the other team. And no one really seemed to, this has happened before at the Leafs. They don't seem to have that axe murderer gene that would consider them to have that kind of tough to play against grit.
Well, yeah, but there's a lot of teams that don't have a tough player, a tough guy. Like, Ryan Reeves is gone now. He's in San Jose protecting Celebrini and Will Smith. A lot of teams decide we're not going to have that heavyweight guy. So the only person who can really, make Zadorov pay is a heavyweight. He's a big man. So there's a handful. There's Olivier, there's Reeves, there's like McDermott. There's only a few guys that could actually step up and grab Zadorov and make him pay for that hit. Now, that being said, that hit wasn't that bad, Julie. It really wasn't. Like, it was awkward. He was trying to finish him. Matthews turned a little bit. It wasn't the dirtiest hit I've ever seen. And if you listen to Zadorov in his press conference after, like, you can just tell by his tone. Like, it's like, I wasn't even really trying to like hit him hard or hurt him. What he did to Schaefer last week, that was a little bit more, reckless and premeditated. But like the Matthews one, like, I don't know if that's a big deal, so to speak. Like, that's not one that you're circling Zadorov's name and like, oh, we're going to have to get that guy back.
Well, I mean, Matthews went out after that. We're not necessarily sure if that was like the reason why, but you could,
even if it was, sometimes there's hits that are awkward and guys get injured. I think the ones that you really, like you're talking about, where as a team you kind of get challenged a bit, is like the really dirty ones to your star player. I didn't think that hit was that bad. I just think it had an unfortunate outcome. But I mean, Domi can bring that. There's, Domi's, he's obviously not the biggest guy, but neither was his dad. It doesn't matter how big you are. Like, he threw a couple punches. Did he do it at the right time? It kind of depends on how he felt about the game. It kind of felt like they weren't coming back in that game. So it is what it is. But I don't know. You're right. Like it's a mid team. It's not a super aggressive, hard to play against team. It's not a super puck possession team. It's kind of like right in the middle right now.
Right. And it seems when you say mid, it almost feels like that is the way these players, they look out on the ice. Like they don't look as engaged, I would say, as in previous years. Of course, they don't have a 100-point plus player that they had last year, but sometimes it feels as though like Craig Berube can't figure out a way to get this team going. This team looks a bit disinterested. At what point would you say you can tell in a player's body language that they maybe I don't want to say that they're not that Berube's lost the room, but like they've started to the message is kind of getting old and wearing on them?
It's hard for us. I'm going to put us all in the same group now, media.
Yeah, you're media now, which is great.
Begrudgingly. Kind of get into players' heads and watch them on the ice and think, oh, this player's disinterested. I don't know. It's hard. That's a hard one to do because you never know what's going on in a player's head, and different players and different people handle frustration differently and lack of production. And some people like Draisaitl are really hard on themselves and swear and get mad at themselves, and it's very easy to see. It's tangible. And then other players kind of hold it in and maybe look a little lethargic, but really they're like inside they're struggling. It's hard to say. Like, I don't think he's lost them. I don't think they're disinterested. I think it's more like maybe just like a little bit of like confusion about how you're right. What is their MO? Like, how are they going to win games in the long term? And I don't know. I mean, maybe that is a conversation, but I think it's the bottom six is hard to play against and responsible and can play at like an even pace, like, generate one chance, give up one chance kind of thing, or better. And you rely on your top guys to score, your power play to be good, and your goaltending to be solid, big defensemen. And they're not playing that way right now. But that's the formula for this group, I think, to win.
Right. There are some holes there that have certainly really hurt them. And, you mentioned with the goaltending, and we've talked about the defense, they've given up 3 or more goals in 11 of 12 games this season, and they have not looked great defensively. And we know that things have been precarious in goal. Hildeby had to come in for Stolarz, which they said he had a upper body injury, but he also gave up 3 goals in the first period. Like, I know you said, okay, it's early in your minds, they've had injuries, but like that's the same for every team. So what's like 2 or 3 things that you want to see from this team going forward? They host LA on Thursday night to at least prove to you that they are going in the direction that you feel they are capable of.
Why do I feel like I'm defending the Leafs right now? This is so backwards.
I know. I love it.
And when did you get 3 Oscars over your left shoulder?
Yeah, I've lived a lot of lives. That's the LA chapter right there. No.
I think I'm just trying to like squirrel.
Yes, I know.
I think for the Leafs, like sometimes having injuries and having guys out of the lineup just brings a sense of urgency. If Stolarz is out for a bit, Matthews is out for a few games, Lott and Tanev. It's like one of those things where all these guys come in and now they're competing and they're getting like a little bit more of a role and they're a little hungrier. And sometimes just, having that feeling, oh my God, like we're missing our best players. Like we better really play. Sometimes that gives you a jolt. I mean, there's a whole bunch of different tricks. I think like this is where the coaching staff kind of earns their money though, right? Like when things are going well and it's a well-oiled machine and you're winning games and everyone's got their cookies, like it's easy to coach in the NHL when it's like that. This is the time where you go into your bag of tricks and you think of all your different motivational type things. You think about, does there have to be like a really positive video session where we're like showing all these good things and build people up? Does it have to be the opposite? Does it have to be like a crack the whip? Because we don't really know like what the message is from day to day in the dressing room. But I think there's got to be either one or the other. Probably go and crack the whip and really grind everyone down and keep everyone accountable and start having a sheet on the board, chances for, chances against, and see where everyone's at. And like we had that the one year in Vancouver where we kept track of every chance for and against. And at the end of every game, you'd see, okay, like I was -6 in chances for. So I generated 3 chances for and I gave up 9. And like, there's different ways where you can keep everybody accountable and hold everyone to an individual standard. This is where the coaches make their money.
And on that note, just very quickly, you mentioned before Anaheim, when you guys were not, you were bottom of the league, like what was it, 2015, 2016, or one of those years, and then you ended up winning it?
Oh, yeah. Well, hold on a sec. Bottom of the league for the first 8 games. And then,
yeah.
And then we apparently it was all my fault too, according to Bruce Boudreau. and then
Gabby said that it was your fault.
We were skating around. Like, I had just got there, and I think we're like 3-5 out of the gate, and we're skating around at Honda Center. And he says, "What do you think so far?" And I go, "Yeah, like obviously, like I think we can all play better. That's certainly me." And he goes, "Yeah, the way I see it is we have basically the same team back as last year. We went to the conference finals, and it was just you and Chris Stewart. And now we're like at the bottom of the league. So the way I look at it is you two definitely have to pick it up." I'm like, "What? It's just our fault?" I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I guess Corey Perry's got no goals, and Getsy's -8, but I guess, yeah, I'll take all the credit for this." And then we turned it around and we had a good year.
Okay, so I mean, did that have an effect on you?
No, I mean, I was a veteran at that point, so
yeah.
I got a laugh out of it. I got a little bit my back up a little bit, like, and then I thought about it. And I'm like, is this guy nuts right now? Like, he doesn't really think this. So I got out of my own head. I'm like, all right, forget that ridiculous conversation. I'm just going to worry about playing good.
Okay, so then in a situation where you've been on a team and things aren't going well, what has been something that has helped you guys get out of that slump?
Well, like threats, like I had also, like Randy Carlyle would say, you might not be in the lineup next game if you don't play well. And then who knows how many other guys he went around and did that same thing to. So the biggest thing you can threaten an NHL player with is ice time. That's the biggest thing you have over them. Every player wants to play more. Every player wants to be in the lineup. Every player wants to be on special teams. So that's what you have over players. So if you don't think you're getting enough out of certain guys, you can start going to guys and you can start threatening them with ice time and with their role. And if that works, great. You look like a genius. If it doesn't, then you go to a different method.
Yeah, that's very much like a parent and child type of thing. Like, okay, if you're not playing well, you don't get to be on the iPad anymore. Like, you don't get to do this or that or go play with your friends.
iPads are still around.
I mean, I'm not a parent. I just see people out with their children and iPads at restaurants.
Clearly.
As like a it's an observation.
The worst thing for a team is when everybody is in their roles, no matter what, wins, loses, losses, like playing well, not playing well. And you're always like, first line's going out first every period. Second line's going out second. Third line, special teams doesn't change no matter what. Like, first unit is always going up. Like, you need internal competition and you need guys moving around the lineup depending on how they're playing. Like, that's how you keep a team accountable. Otherwise, it's like a guy on the fourth line, maybe he's playing really well and he never moves up the lineup, never to the third, never to the second. It's just like, he's like, what am I doing? And then all of a sudden he's like, okay. And that's kind of where teams break down. So when you're in this kind of little slump, you start shuffling guys. You have somebody playing really, really well in the third line, get them up to the first line. You have somebody on the first line not playing very well, drop them down a little bit, right? Start shuffling. And you don't have to be like mean or malicious about it as a coach, but you can start like saying, hey, like, let's motivate you. You're not playing well, you move down. It's just the way it is for everybody on the team. Everybody's in the same boat. That's kind of, but I would hate to see the lines just stay the same and the team just keep playing mid.
Right. Like,
compliment by the way. The kids
I know.
You're mid. That's not like, oh, sweet, I'm like in the middle. No, mid is not good these days.
I would have thought you would have said that they were like below mid, like they were not, whatever that is, what the kids say. Like below mid, because I think mid's kind of bad, and I don't think they're like tanking. I don't think they're I don't think they're like Mississippi or Arkansas. I think they're just Ohio mid. So yeah, I just think the expectations for this team were that they probably weren't going to drop as far as they have after just a couple of different shakeups. I think people expected them especially with at least the core three. Now you could put Nyes in there, whatever, core four. You still have some of your top guys, but then the other pieces aren't working. One last question before I let you go. Do you feel in any way, shape, or form right now, or that Craig Berube is on the hot seat?
I don't know. I don't think Craig Berube really hurts or solves anything right now. I don't know. I mean, I think it's the players. I'm not a big believer in changing a coach midseason. I could be wrong, but I don't think I ever had a coaching change in the middle of a season in my 15-year pro career. I don't know. I don't think I think it's like a desperate thing. And I don't think bringing in a new coach right now is really going to change a whole lot when you have, a lot of different things wrong. Like we already went through it all, like the goaltending, the shots against, the bottom six, everything. There's so many problems right now. Like, I don't know if a new coach, put this into perspective, Julie, they're on a 3-game losing streak, right? So I kind of just like looked at it quickly. If they would have won the last 3 games instead of lose, they'd be in first place in their division. So they're one winning streak away from being at the top. I don't think it's full-time panic. Like when you bring a new coach in, unless you're thinking about just elevating an assistant, like you're talking about changing the whole culture and the whole dynamic. And I think that has to be a desperation thing. And if I were to do that, it would probably be a little bit later in the season when I knew exactly what I had as a team.
Right. I mean, maybe the culture needs to have some kind of desperation change if there isn't an identity change and they keep doing the same things they're doing. Because as you mentioned, the points wise, they could be top of the league or top of their division. But though it's the way they're playing, I think people look and say, you're giving up 3 goals in the first period after that game you had against Carolina and the game you had against Boston. It's like, it just doesn't feel like a whole lot of fight from the Leafs.
Tough league. It's a really tough league.
It's hard to play hockey, is what.
Good players out there.
Yeah, there really is. Okay, well, we have come to the conclusion that the Leafs are pretty mid right now, but there's still a lot of optimism coming from Kevin Bieksa, which is very surprising.
Is right now. You make me feel like I'm like the Leaf ambassador. I'm doing my best.
Yeah, we just need to get you like the chain, the gang that they have with the chains, because it's no panic over here from Bieksa. And thank you so much, Kevin, for joining us. Oh, you got the towel.
I'm going to give myself the towel for that job I just did.
That was great. How much do you love that towel?
I love this. I love these. I just think they were the ultimate to get one of these. Whenever we would play on Saturday night in Vancouver, which was a lot, you would always want to be one of the interviewers because they only bring 3 towels to the game. Like that's it. You think you could find these? These are very, very rare. Like even now, we can never find them. They bring 3 of the game: first intermission, second intermission, and post game interview. That's it. So to get one of these, this is the old one because it's got the CBC logo. But to get one of these was a pretty big deal back in the day.
Oh yeah,
I have a bunch of them. I still kept a lot. But I've also given a lot away. Like every family member has wanted one, friends.
Yeah.
But
those are very highly coveted. And for those listening on the podcast, Kevin is wearing the Hockey Night in Canada infamous towel that they give them at the intermission interviews.
Guns N' Roses t-shirt.
Yes, it looks great. I love that you're finishing off the podcast with wearing that because just reminds us all of what a presence you were on the ice, and of course now what a presence you are on our TVs on Sportsnet. So thank you so much for joining us here on Toronto Sports Rush for the BetRivers Network.
Thanks for watching Toronto Sports Rush on the BetRivers Network.